Hello and welcome to the Futsal Highlights Show, the second episode as brought to you by Into Futsal with your hosts, me, Isaac Barrington, and Quentin Casey as well. We've had some really good feedback from the first show, so really pleased with the comments on social media. Make sure you get involved as well. At Into Futsal is the @ over on Twitter and all of the social media platforms. But let's get into it then. Quentin, happy to be back for the second episode. Four great games played on Sunday, and yeah, really looking forward to showing the people the goals and all the important moments that mattered.
Yeah, again, another important weekend for four big games, obviously affecting the top and the bottom of the league. So, and they didn't all go to plan, as you'll soon find out. So, yeah, looking forward to taking you through it all.
Yeah, just something I wanted to touch on with you really before we get into the league games. The National Cup semi-final, which was played last weekend between Bloomsbury and Manchester. Always a big clash, isn't it, between Bloomsbury and Manchester? Bloomsbury coming out on top in that one in a closely fought game. What were your thoughts on that and Bloomsbury's progression now into the final?
Yeah, I mean, Bloomsbury into the final again. Obviously, they want to be winning everything like they did last year. I think Manchester would be disappointed. Sam Richardson spoke to us last week about how he thought it was important that they did pick up a piece of silverware this year, whether it be the League Cup or the normal season title. I've not seen the game, but it seemed like a bit of a cagey game, and obviously those type games at the top and those important ones always seem to be. So I think it gives Bloomsbury now that bit more incentive and a bit more hope, obviously, that they can go on to produce what they did last year, and maybe that little bit of edge over Manchester mentally in what we all imagine will be a battle for the Champions League place.
Yeah, well, let's get straight into it then. And with Bloomsbury actually involved in our first game with their visit to the Sir David Wallace Sports Centre to face Loughborough.
11, 10, 4, and I guess it's 9. Transition, boys, transition. Very good. Looking well. Sorry, soon. I definitely get one from her. Is that Luke? Is that Luke? Oh, yeah. 5 on. Can he shoot? Yeah. Oh, cool. 6 out. 10. Okay, Sebastian. There's a key play there. You can click that. And again, the winger not following. Yeah, I'll be on film involved.
So there we have it, a 5-2 win for Bloomsbury as they pick up another 3 points. And delighted to say that joining us now, we have Bloomsbury's Richard Ward. Wardy, thanks for joining us, mate.
Pleasure to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Just first of all, what was your take on the game at the weekend, and how did you see it from your point of view, and what's it really mean to the lads to get that win off the back of the win against Manchester as well in the cup game just prior to it?
Obviously, really enjoyed the Manchester game. It's been a really good month for us in terms of competitive fixtures. I think Bolton, we had the draw, bounce back with a nice win against Manchester. So I think we needed that as a team. Manchester, obviously, top of the league, favourites as it stands right now. So, we showed them what we're about. We've still got a bit of that champions pedigree. But then obviously coming into the Loughborough game, we know how hard-working they are. So we knew the level that we had to bring. We had to match them. Few spicy bits at the start where they kind of hit the crossbar, hit the woodwork a few times, but we let Russell Goldstein off the leash and he just bagged four for us, really.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about Russ and his qualities. Obviously, former England international, and you have so many quality players throughout the squad. But talk to me a bit specifically after such a good performance about Russ and what he brings to your team still.
You've opened up a tricky door for me to walk through there, Isaac, in terms of describing Russell Goldstein. Positive wise, obviously he's a massive voice for us in the changing rooms, huge character. I think he's as probably intimidating a player as you can come across. Futsal wise, he's made of those dirty finishes, being in the right place at the right time, hard to track. Took his first goal in particular really, really well. I think linking well with Eddie, who's just so dangerous for us. Those two just created havoc on Sunday, I think. And Russ took his opportunities really well. Yeah, Russell Goldstein, big shout out to him as well. He's a dad to be, so yeah, I think he's since that point he's been unstoppable.
Brilliant, thank you, mate.
Good. And obviously, Russ had his day yesterday, and it seems as though everyone is kind of having their day among the season. How good is it to see that kind of you've got that across the squad, that you're not just looking around at one or two players, and if they're having a bad day, then you're going to struggle for the result. You've got that quality, and you're not just looking at one or two players.
Yeah, I think depth is huge for us. We have really good numbers at training twice a week. We push each other really hard. At the minute, we're going through a bit of an injury crisis, bit of player availability, so we need that depth. Which is why I think Manchester are in such a strong position. They have the same players training week in, week out. They're all hungry. They're all young. We've got lots of old players, loads of injuries. Jared Basker can't walk anymore. Connor Miller is like 40 years old. So we're stringing bones at the minute. But really looking forward to that Manchester game next week, nonetheless.
Yeah, so we're talking about that Manchester game now. So obviously you beat them last week in the cup, and obviously you got a bit of a chance to kind of suss each other out on the court. What advantage do you reckon last week's going to give you looking into next week?
Well, Calvin Dixon did his best to give as many 10 metres away as possible in the final few seconds. So we were lucky to have Jack Walsh on form to save those two pens. Going into next week, I've seen their podcast, really good. Check it out. But they're clearly hungry for a bounce back, as they should be. They've had their opportunities. I think they're a really, really good team, really good system. Hopefully we can get a good result. I know that if we turn up on our day, we can beat anyone. But yeah, it's another home game for them, so definitely their favourites, and just got to bring our best game.
And how important is the result next week? Obviously, it's going to be on BT, so it's going to be TNT, a lot more people watching it, and obviously just going into what it might be a playoff final later in the season. How important do you think that winning next week could be ahead of that game?
I don't think it's too important. I think we're just coming in as underdogs, just happy to have another good game. Obviously, if we can come away with a win, that'd be great. I think the main thing frustrating us this season is admin errors. That's been our biggest enemy so far. Obviously, losing out on those Derby 3 points. So, providing Calvin Dixon is actually registered for this game and plays, it should be good. But yeah, I think Manchester, like I said, they're really hungry for it. They're sitting top of the table comfortably, so no pressure on us really.
Perfect. Cheers, mate.
Brilliant. Thank you, Wardy, and good luck for your upcoming games as well, including that one next week.
Cheers, chaps.
Right then, moving on to our next game, which sees Manchester play visitors to Maidenhead.
Save, lads.
I'm setting the timer to see how long you last.
Yeah, to be fair, that's...
Oh, nice!
Yes! Well done, well done. Sexy futsal. Sexy futsal.
Run into a roadblock.
Yeah.
What?
Safe hands. Have a shot, have a shot. Attaboy. Come on, mates. Yeah, oh, cute. Efforts.
Yeah, you go.
Save, lads. Well in. Oh, unlucky. Yes! Get in! Come on, mate! But no one fucking understands that. So I was like, you know, like, for this, I think we're gonna, I think we finish up mid-table. Like, I don't think we.
Like Premiership players or something.
Yeah, scholars.
Tier 1 or whatever.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I would. Oh my god. Finish, Bray?
You got less than a second left.
Nah, well, they might restore it, but. Yes.
Well, honours even then between Maidenhead and Manchester. It's another big point for Maidenhead in what's been a really successful opening campaign for them in Tier 1 so far. And joining us now, I'm delighted to say we have Maidenhead's Richard Oxley. Richard, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Just firstly, I wanted to ask you your point of view of the game yesterday and how you saw it from your perspective. It's another big point, as I mentioned, for you. And really as well, what do you think's been the key to your success so far in Tier 1 this season?
The key to our success is we're working as a squad, and we're really working hard. We've been hit by 4 ACL injuries, and so the depth of the squad has come to the fore, and everyone stood up, and there's a good spirit in the club. So it's a joy to be around, to be honest.
Yeah, how did you see the game yesterday? Do you think you were in control of the game? Did you feel that at times it was a game that you had to kind of play on the back foot? What was your perspective of it?
I think Manchester had in the first half a really strong phase where and especially from set pieces, corners, and kick-ins, they've got some deadly shots flying around, and that was quite nerve-wracking, to be honest. But I survived that, no cardiac arrest. But then there was phases of the game, especially late on in the first half, where we really stood up and scored a fantastic goal, which hopefully you'll see. And then in the second half, I thought we had a really good first 10 minutes. And then in the second period of the second half, I think then it became more of an even game. And the quality, and anyone watching that game as a neutral would have come away watching a quality game, but really exciting as well. So it was, good game of futsal.
Yeah, you're just the second team to take points off Manchester as well now, alongside Bloomsbury with the draw in the opening week of the season. How important do you feel that point could be for your team come the end of the campaign if you are to be there or thereabouts in terms of the playoffs?
I think every point's got to count and every goal, to be honest. It could go down to goal difference, goals scored. I think it's going to be really tight. So you take what you can, and we work hard to get these results. And I think the amount of work we're putting in is starting to show the rewards on the court.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
And Rich, just from me, obviously at the start of the season, I know for all of the promoted sides, it would have been a case of kind of initial goal is to stay up, but you've obviously put yourself in a position now where you're in a good position it's in your own hands to get in the playoffs now. Is there a little bit of added pressure now? Kind of you're in that position, obviously great to be in, but it's a bit of a change of circumstances for the lads.
I think it's the opposite, actually. We're enjoying it more. I think the first 3 games, when we started off, we targeted as trying to get the maximum number of points, because the following 3 games, if I remember that far back, at my age that's difficult. But we targeted to get a good start, and we did that. And so the pressure was off there, but then I think performance has dropped for various reasons, and we've sort of got second wind now, and I think we're actually relishing the pressure. Not sort of like it's not something that we are scared of. We're actually relishing this. This is why we want to be in Tier 1. So to have these games against Manchester, against Bloomsbury, and going up to central venue and everything, so we're relishing it rather than actually being sort of under pressure. So that's the way we look at it, and so we go out to enjoy it.
Cheers, Rich.
Brilliant. Thank you, Richard. Good to have you on the show as well, and good luck for your upcoming games too.
Thank you very much, and thank you for fitting us in. All the best. Take care.
No worries. Thank you. And joining us now, we have Manchester's Sam Richardson. Sam, thank you for joining us.
No problem. Evening.
How did you see the game yesterday? Obviously, you've set such high standards as a team for yourselves with so many wins recently. What went wrong in terms of not being able to pick up the 3 points yesterday, do you feel?
Yeah, I think I spoke before the game. I think I was reflecting on the game against Bloomsbury in the Cup in the semi-final. I think the performance was there, and I felt like we've got another gear to go. So I was saying, looking forward to this game and the rest of the games. coming up in the season. I felt like we've got another gear. I think we performed really well against Bloomsbury. The game could have gone either way, and I was just saying that we could probably step up. I felt like we've actually got another gear in there to differentiate ourselves. But then on Sunday, I'd say that we never got out of like probably gear 2. We were probably in cruise control for the whole game, and I think there's never a period in the game where I thought, okay, we're stepping up now, and we kind of like we're waiting for that to happen. I don't think anyone grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. I think we're pretty passive a lot of the time in all phases of play. So even with the ball, without the ball, in transitions, the second goal came from us not setting up, not executing the second goal. Their second goal came from us not executing the kicking properly. So I think, yeah, just it was a passive performance. I mean, I think we've set the bar so high that obviously we're disappointed when that happens. But I think naturally in sport that happens. You can't always be great when you're going out there. So obviously the thing to take away, that's what we basically said to all the players at the end is, we're disappointed that we're drawing and we're not performing. Obviously Maidenhead probably seen it as a big performance from them. But on our side, we can play poorly and we're still drawing with teams. And really, we could have. I think the extra thing would have for me is like we played poorly and we're still 3-2 up with a couple of minutes to go. If we'd held on and managed the game, seeing the game out, we would have been like coming away and saying, "Oh yeah, we saw it out." But even at 3-3, our performance wasn't particularly good, and we still draw with teams. So there is that to take away. But yeah, the performance wasn't great. Completely different to last Sunday.
Brilliant. Thank you for that.
Obviously, Sam, you led for a lot of the game yesterday. Obviously, at half time and with 2 minutes to go, is it frustrating that you weren't able to manage those situations? And earlier in the season or in previous games, we've all seen you get a couple of goals ahead and then you just run away with it. That just obviously didn't happen yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I think obviously, I think the way the goals went 1-0 up, 2-0 up. They scored just before half time, and I think that gave them a bit of momentum as well. A really nice worked goal, to be fair. And I think if they'd not scored that goal, maybe it would have been just like the games that you'd said. But I think obviously they're at their home court. It took us a while to adapt to it. It was, I think, more than anything else, it was quite a slow court, and I don't think our players really dealt with it. And players weren't able to maybe dribble as much as they were, but I don't think our players really changed their game to deal with that. And we had a couple of transitions like 3-on-1s, and there was no pass given, or the pass was a poor decision. And so it kind of like that happened in the first 2 minutes, and we had a couple more in the game, and it never got any better in the transitional periods. And I think, yeah, Maidenhead, I mean, like I was saying, I don't know how it relates to their performances. I didn't think they played particularly badly when we beat them at home early on in the season. But as far as I'm concerned, in the second half, they were confident on the ball. But again, it's like we were so passive in defence. We didn't cause them too many problems. But I think what we did is we actually limited them to not really breaking down the goalkeeper defensive line and the next defensive line. So we didn't really give them too many opportunities. I don't think they really created too much in the second half. But I think the thing was we weren't managing the game well. So like I said, we make a mistake for the second goal. And because we weren't playing very well and we just, we weren't kicking on, the third goal kind of came from them and their determination and the fact that they got confidence from our lack of defensive work. And yeah, they deserved the draw at least. They performed well, but I just think a poor performance. And I was just trying to say to the guys that, that happens in sport. We just got to deal with it. There's no point playing sports if the best team wins all the time. And you can't be the best team all the time. And then when you're not the best team, can you perform and grind out a result? And we kind of grind it out. But like you said, it gets to 3-2. We've got to manage that. I think that's the thing for me. I think more than anything else, the performance, we can put it on the side and say, okay, we didn't play very well. But I think once you get to 3-2 and it's 3 or 4 minutes, I think we should see those games out. And it's something that we've got to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, why couldn't we do that? We've got to take that into the next game, the next couple of games for the rest of the season.
Yep, and that leads me on nicely to the next couple of games. Obviously, next week's a massive one. Obviously, you played them in the cup last week, and they got the better of you in a really tight game. What did you learn about them last week, and what are you going to take into next week's fixture?
Yeah, I think I don't really know if we learned anything from each other. I think the game played out kind of like the way we expected. It was strange because probably all 3 goals weren't the best. So we probably all created, we probably created as both teams. I'm saying this for both teams, is that we probably created better chances and didn't finalise. And then the goals came to more purely down to like mistakes or like little bit of moments where it seemed to go in. And we probably had better chances throughout the game. But it was one of those games where I literally said it could have gone either way. If we'd won, I don't know what else. I wouldn't say anything different as far as the performance goes. And I think the same for them. And I think we had chances when it was 1-1 to take. We had a 10-meter penalty when it was 1-1. Obviously, the last 8 seconds, we had another 10-meter penalty to take it into extra time as well. And Jeff hit the post as well. Can't remember if we were one up or if that was a draw or even if it's at 2-1. So there was all those kind of situations in the game. But as far as learning how they play any different to what it's been before, I just think they perform really well. We perform really. It was a really good game. It was a really tight game. It was exactly what we expected. And we're looking forward to next week. Obviously, we were disappointed with the result. We weren't particularly disappointed with the performance. But I was saying that before the Maidenhead game, it's like I felt like we've got another gear, and it's like if we can step up in that other gear and put out a similar performance, but step it up in certain moments and take those moments, then we'll see. But I think that's what's going to happen again. It's going to be either a couple of players stepping up and taking those moments, or just generally a team just getting the edge in a certain moment or two, like they did last week. So yeah, we're excited, but it's on a knife edge, I think, again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you mentioned there that obviously the Bloomsbury performance, whether you win or lose that game, your thoughts on the performance don't change. And I think even with the Maidenhead result yesterday, kind of you see in the performance for what it was. But next week, how important is not only to have the performance, but to get the result in terms of what you go on to complete for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think we talked about this maybe the past week about taking that step, and I think that is the big thing with the result, because I think with the semi-final, they've got an advantage over us in the fact that we've played 2 games this season. Probably the first league game we probably should have won. They're probably quite happy that they came away with a draw, and that's maybe credit to them, because they probably weren't as they probably didn't perform as well as they probably wanted to. And then they've taken the result. So regardless of the performances, at the end of the day, the scoreline says 2-1. They've gone through to the final. We haven't. And, Sunday is another day where they can put a stamp on us and we can put a stamp on them. So the result is important. Let's not beat around the bush. Obviously, it's great to perform. But yeah, we want to take the 3 points, especially obviously we're being at home as well. So it's key. That's what we're looking for. We want to win. And for me, we need to. I want us to perform well and win. But if we're not going to perform well, I'm happy for us to win. That's
Perfect. Love the honesty, mate.
No problem.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Sam, and good luck for that upcoming game as well.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Well, moving swiftly on then to our next game. It's brought to you from the Andover Leisure Centre, Wessex facing Harbury. So another Wessex win then as they run out 2-1 winners against Harbury. And joining us now, we have Wessex captain Terry New. Terry, thank you for joining us once again.
All right, cheers, chaps. Good evening.
Just firstly, what was your take on the game at the weekend, and how did you see it from your perspective? You must be delighted as a team to pick up another 3 points now. I think that's 4 wins in a row for you, going so strong in Tier 1.
Yeah, we are delighted. Obviously, it wasn't our best performance, to be honest, which is quite good, to be honest, because last season we found ourselves playing quite well at times and still losing. So for us to not be on our day particularly, and still pick up 3 points was really pleasing. But we knew Harbury were going to be a tough team to play against. They're defensively really sound. They don't concede many goals, so we knew it was going to be quite a cagey, edgy affair. But we're just happy just to nick the win and get all 3 points.
Yeah, and a break for yourselves now this weekend with no game, obviously with the 9-team league. I presume you'll be watching the games though, and eager-eyed looking at how the results go at the weekend as you take the week out.
Yeah, we will be. There's a few really interesting fixtures there. All over the table. There's some at the bottom, in the middle, and at the top. So yeah, we'll watch as many games as we possibly can, and just hopefully a few results going our way. But we're just, if we're neutral as well, it's going to be great to watch.
Brilliant, thank you.
Terry, and your own performance yesterday. Obviously, I've watched the game back, and a couple of people have shouted you out for our Team of the Week feature, which you'll see at the end. What did you make of your own performance?
Yeah, I feel like I played well. Obviously it's difficult when you're performing, week in, week out. You're just trying to do the best for your team, and obviously we've got so many good players there. You don't really focus on your own individual performance, but obviously to manage to score a goal finally,
Yep.
after the last 2 weeks, yeah, it's been tough. So yeah, it's good to get on the score sheet. And like I said, I've just been working really hard on, like I said, as a collective, as a team, and on my own individual performance as well. But yeah, I think the boys were incredible as well. They gritted their teeth, they dug deep, and like I said, it is another game, to be honest. Like I said, you just got to try and do your best for the team.
Yeah, and then just lastly, mate. So obviously, your goal at the start of the season, I imagine, was probably to stay in the division, which you've obviously achieved now. Not probably, I don't know mathematically, but you would say so. Now you've put yourself in the place for the top, in the race for the top 4. Does that kind of change the dynamic of like how you're thinking, or are you just going to carry on as you are? Because obviously you've got a break and then you've got Bloomsbury, so it's obviously it's looking tough. But now does that change the way does it change the way you play the game, or how you look to play?
To be honest, not really. I mean, like I said, the first couple of results, it was more relief. Like just to get off the bottom of the table and out of the relegation position. But then as we continue to win and continue to perform well, we've got to continue to just do the right things and focus on ourselves. Like I said, we've done that for the majority of the season now, and it seems to have worked. Like I said, relief first and foremost leads to know that we're most probably out of the relegation fight now. And yeah, there is an element of looking up into the top 4, because I believe we're 1 point off of the top 4 at the minute, which is quite hard to believe 4 games ago. But we never really expected to be in that position. But now that we are, we need a few results to go our way, especially this weekend as well. We'll be watching them. But we also need to we've got Bloomsbury and Manchester back to back, which is issues are top teams. And then 2 other tough fixtures as well in Bolton, which is probably a 6-pointer now. And then York are down there and they're fighting as well. So it's going to be still a really, really tough running for us. But we just got to keep doing what we're doing and keep working hard. And like I said, we've got trainings tonight, and we're going to keep going back to the drawing board, keep assessing our performance, and keep trying to improve.
Cheers, mate.
Brilliant,
Cheers,
thank you. Good luck for when you do get back to the action, and enjoy your weekend off as well.
Thanks very much. Cheers, boys.
Right then, moving on to our next game in this Futsal Highlights show.
Happened in both games, like that.
So there we go then. Another big 3 points for Bolton in their quest for the top four at the end of the season. And joining us now, the Bolton head coach, Stuart Cook. Cookie, thank you for joining us.
Evening, gents. Hope you're both doing well.
Just firstly, what was your overall take on the game yesterday, and how did you see it from your point of view?
I think it probably played out as expected, a little bit similar to the early season game. I think we saw a lot of the ball, probably didn't make as much use of it as I would have liked to have done as a group. I think we probably lacked a little bit of a cutting edge, which has been a bit of a problem of ours in a sort of a general theme. I thought Derby, were really compact in the way they defended. I think, Tyler in net had a really good game. And I think they did well to take a couple of the chances in the first half, which obviously made things a little bit more difficult for us. We had a good sort of 4 or 5 minutes at the start of the second half where we scored a few goals, which probably changed the dynamic of the game. But again, probably a little bit disappointing not to capitalise on probably the last 10 to 15 minutes of chances and not come away with a few more goals for goal difference, which could be important moving through the season.
Yeah, you mentioned there the second half was better for you than the first half. What did you say to your team at half time, and did you feel that start to the second half, as you mentioned, was really the crucial period in the game for you?
Yeah, I think we're coming into a stage of the season where it's really important that our performances sort of start to align with what we're trying to do as a group. I think I was particularly disappointed with the way we moved the ball, the ball speed in the first half, and just again probably veering away from what we're trying to do regularly in training, and it more becoming a game about the individuals. And actually, what we found over the past couple of seasons is that when we play as individuals, we're probably not quite good enough to make an impact on a regular basis. So it's really important that actually we get better at the collective side of the game. Which we do in patches, and the emphasis this season has been to trying to turn good 20 minutes and good 10 minutes into 30s and 40 minutes, because ultimately when we play teams like Manchester and Bloomsbury and whoever else is in the playoffs, we're going to have to be better for longer periods of the game.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you quickly as well. I'm sure a lot may have seen and some might not have seen, but your involvement now with the Northern Ireland national team as well. Could you just explain a little bit about why you feel that's the right time for you to take that step now? And I think I saw on social media that you'll be taking on the role for the preliminary games and then stepping away after that. So can you just explain to people your decision behind that, really?
Yeah, so I was approached before Christmas, in fact, quite a bit before Christmas, by the Irish FA to go in and shadow the Scotland Northern Ireland games that happened around October time, with a view to stepping in and coming in to do some coaching. I think they've been looking for a long-term replacement for Johnny Michaels, who's been doing it since its inception in around sort of 2016. I know Juan Tapia Owens has been and done some coaching, and I think a few other people have touched with it previously. They sort of then asked me to come in and take a training camp pre-Christmas. So I did a 2-day training camp in December. And again, I think it was probably a feeling out process for the both of us, for me to decide whether it was something that I wanted to do as part of my coaching path and journey and sort of development I've been sort of embarking on over the past few seasons, and also whether it was right for them and the players. And obviously England making the announcement that they were bringing their national team back at the same time put me in a bit of a predicament in terms of the decision. So, I made the decision that I wanted to carry on being a player for ultimately indefinitely, as long as I can. And I'm committed to doing that. But I'd provisionally committed to being involved with Northern Ireland until the prelims. So I didn't want to step away from that and renege on that commitment. So we came to an agreement that I would stick around, see them through the prelims, do all the preparation for that, take the training camps and games next week against San Marino, and then step away to continue my playing career, really.
Brilliant. Well, best of luck with that as well. Thank you.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Isaac.
Cookie, just to go back to the game, I've got a bit of a scenario. Obviously, I watched the game, and I think the difference in the second half was kind of you were a bit more ruthless, especially in that first 5 minutes. Do you think that's kind of the issue with yesterday, where you just weren't brutal enough in that final third, where the chances that you did create, you created a lot of chances to probably to have won the game by a distance. Is that concerning to you?
I think we go through phases of being clinical at times and then being wasteful at other times. I think yesterday what probably happened in the first 5 minutes was that we were better in transition. So, when we won the turnovers and we had the 4v3s and 3v2s, we finalised on those. I think the thing that I worry about sometimes with us as a group, myself included, is actually when we dominate the ball and we're creating chances from our phases of play rather than transition, I'm not sure whether our final decision or our final action is of the required quality to ultimately compete at the very top end of the league. And I think that probably plays out when we play teams like Manchester and Bloomsbury, in that if we don't take our chances, the quality that shines from the other side makes the difference. And I think it's typical of the way our games have unfolded with Manchester, in that the first halves are always really competitive and close, and then actually the quality with a couple of individuals makes the difference. And my challenge to my players is, can we start to match those sort of final actions with more quality and better decision making, so that we're not then relying on transitions to score goals, because most teams score a lot of goals in transition. It's obviously a great opportunity for players to go and use overloads and create easier finishing actions. My challenge to the players is, can we do that when it's 4 versus 4 and it's up to us to make the right pass, the right shot at the right time?
Perfect. And last one from me. So obviously, the next two rounds of fixtures are on BT. How much of an opportunity is that for you and your guys to kind of show how far you have come this season and come recently?
Yeah, I think everybody looks forward to the BT days. They're always great venues. It's great to have usually a crowd there and get all the clubs around to get to see all the players. I think for us, next week will be a tough one. Both Northern Ireland and Scotland have got international games, so we'll have 5 players missing. So again, I'll probably look to my Tier 2 squad to bring a few players up, which against Loughborough can sometimes be a challenge because their intensity is sometimes erratic, but also the structure of the game can be a little bit chaotic, which suits them but doesn't necessarily suit everybody else. So that'll be a challenge for our young players who do make the step up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I think over the next couple of game weeks, we'll sort of have an idea of where we're likely to finish in the season and can start to forward plan a little bit more.
Brilliant. Thank you, Cookie, and good luck for all of the upcoming games that you're involved in as well. Thank you.
Cheers, gents. Thank you.
Right then, so that brings us to the end of all of the highlights and interviews. It's been another excellent weekend of action in the FA National Futsal Series Men's Tier 1. Quentin, what were your overall thoughts on it this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the results probably majority went the way we thought they were going to. We thought that Bolton would probably beat Derby, but Derby obviously put in a good showing with the squad that they had out on the day. The only kind of shock result of the weekend was obviously Maidenhead getting a point at Manchester, being the second only side to take points off them this season. So real credit to them, and obviously showing that they're not just there off the back of a fluke or a honeymoon period in Tier 1. They're actually they're good value to be in that top 4 race. So yeah, good weekend overall. I think that York will probably had one eye on all the games and kind of they got that extra week's rest in. I'm not too sure what they'll have done with the time, but obviously they're a massive game next week. So yeah, all eyes on next week now.
Yeah, York to face Derby, of course, next weekend, the TNT Sports weekend. But before that, let's add in a little bit of a new feature in this week's episode. So a team of the week is what we've gone with. So 5 picks that we've got in front of us here, Quentin, if you want to start us off with the team of the week for this round of fixtures.
Yeah, so the first 2 names I've got are Tyler Denson in goal for Derby. Obviously, I'm happy to get called biased. He's a friend of mine, and I'm not too bothered about picking him. But he was brilliant, and obviously Cookie called him out as well and said that he was really good. The scoreline could have been worse for Derby if he hadn't have had the performance he did. So well done to him. And then probably the easiest pick of the weekend is probably Russ Goldstein. 4 goals from him, and I don't think you'll ever score 4 goals and not make it into the team of the week. So that's a pretty basic pick. And from yourself?
Yeah, and then I'll continue with a couple. Wessex captain Terry New, excellent performance this weekend, and he's in alongside Jordan Matthews as well. So it's a Wessex double up in our team of the week. between those pair. Again,
Yeah.
another great result, wasn't it, for Wessex? Just 1 point outside the playoffs now as well. 4 wins in a row. They're doing so well in Tier 1.
They're in
So
they're in dreamland. They're in dreamland. I mean, they didn't win. I don't think they got a win last year, and they started slowly this year. And since we started this show, they've blown up. So I said to Terry, I said, I'll keep pestering him to get him to come on, and he said, I said, well, you keep winning, so I'm going to have to keep texting you. So long may it continue. I'm sure he'll think. And then I think the last pick for the 5 is going to be a very attacking 4 for us, but we're going to go with Braden Lissington from Maidenhead. Obviously played a big part in the goal that you've just seen, and was called out by a couple of people that we've spoke to, and obviously had a great game and having a good season. So a very good looking 5. I think you'd be happy to start any game with that, and there'd definitely be a force to reckon with. So well done to those players. If you think you should have got in and you didn't, get over it. And we will look forward to bringing you Team of the Week next week. Obviously, we've got a bit of red tape to get through in terms of getting the footage for the highlights, but hopefully we can bring you the highlights for the next 2 rounds of fixtures, which are going to be on TNT.
Yeah, really looking forward to commentating on those games as well myself in the TNT Sports weekends. It's great to showcase the National Futsal Series across both the men's and the women's at that stage on the TV stage as well. So really looking forward to all of the upcoming games. But for now, that's just about all we've got time for, I think. Quentin, any final thoughts ahead of, well, the next round of fixtures and moving on from here?
No, it's obviously the next round of fixtures is a massive one. First weekend on TNT for what feels like a short while, and the 2 main games being the first 2, I think 10:10 and 12:30 or something around those times. We're starting off with Derby versus York, where I think if Derby win, they'll probably make themselves safe. It's a must-win for York, and I'm sure they know that. They don't need us to tell them that. It's a huge game at the bottom. And then a big game at the top with Bloomsbury Manchester following that. And I think the big thing is, well, I think Manchester will go on to win the league no matter what the result, but I think psychologically it will have a big effect if Bloomsbury can win that fixture going into the playoffs. And I think that might play on Manchester's mind a little bit if they go and drop points in this fixture. So big weekend.
Yeah, certainly will be, and certainly looking forward to that. Quentin, thank you to you. Thank you to you at home, the viewers watching and tuning in tonight as well. That rounds off a week in which Maidenhead took points off the league leaders Manchester, and Wessex continued to march on. Goodbye.